My name is Tom Anderson. I'm 46 this year, and I have a wife, Emily, and a 3-year-old son, Jack. A 46-year-old with a 3-year-old son. To most people, he might be considered a late-born child. Jack looks like Emily with his big, bright eyes and round, chubby cheeks. He's incredibly cute. He is truly our treasure. Thank you for being born. Our hearts are filled with gratitude. He laughed. He stood up. He said, "Daddy." He completed his first errand. Every day is filled with surprises and growth. Experiencing emotions and joys I never knew when I was alone. Feelings I've never felt before. My life is now rich with color, and each day passes busily and vividly. He is just so adorable. I find myself watching over everything he does with a goofy smile. Why are you grinning like that? You look creepy. Someone might mistake you for a weirdo. Emily often teases me, but I can't help it. Our son is as adorable as an angel. When he's with Emily, his angelic charm multiplies. Together, they make my head spin. They're a guilty pleasure. I used to think I wouldn't hurt even if he were in my eye was an exaggeration, but now I want to tell my past self how wrong I was. Our son is truly so cute, it wouldn't hurt even if he were in my eye. In fact, I want to keep him in my sight forever. Am I crazy? No, I'm not the only one. Jack's charm captivates my father and grandfather as well. They live on the same property, though in different houses, so they can come and go freely. If I can't find Jack, he's usually playing on my father's lap or out for a walk with my grandfather. Everyone competes to take care of Jack. It's inevitable, our child is just that angelic. Oops, I should stop bragging about my son. We wouldn't want him to get kidnapped. I run a small company. It's a local, community-based construction business. My grandfather was a master carpenter, managing a team of highly skilled craftsmen. Every day, many workers labored in the workshop next to our house. They were busy carrying, cutting, and assembling wood, working up a sweat. As a child, I thought they looked incredibly cool. I loved the sound of the plane shaving wood and the smell of sawdust. The way the wood shavings sparkled in the sunlight was mesmerizing. It was beautiful. I could watch for hours, utterly fascinated. This place is full of dangerous things, so you can't move around on your own. My grandfather was strict and quite scary. He was the epitome of a master carpenter. Even though he was pleased with my interest, he wouldn't let me into the workshop because it was too dangerous. But what child would give up that easily? I would sneak peeks into the workshop whenever I had the chance, making sure my grandfather didn't catch me. The foreman, John, would always invite me over when he saw me. "Hey, sport, back to watch again? Come on over here," he'd say, beckoning me to his side to watch him work. "Sport, do you like the plane?" "Yes." When you use the plane, the wood becomes so smooth and shiny. It's like magic. Is that so? Magic, huh? Well then, let me show you a bit of magic. John usually didn't talk much. He quietly worked on his wood. A bit of an oddball, but a master with the plane, respected by his peers. He could shave wood thinly or thickly, making it look like delicate chocolate curls. It seemed as though the wood enjoyed being shaved by John. Amazing. John, the wood looks happy. It's saying thank you for making it beautiful. Can you understand what the wood is saying? No, I can't understand it, but it looks like it's smiling. The wood is smiling, huh? To me, it seemed like John could hear the wood's words. He always looked so happy while working with the plane, as if he were talking to a lover. Some people found this creepy, so John often worked alone. But his skills were unquestionable, so no one complained. I believe my grandfather relied heavily on John. With technological advances, carpentry work was increasingly replaced by machines. Fewer wooden houses were being built, fewer young people aspired to be craftsmen. The work gradually dwindled, and my grandfather's face grew more and more forlorn. He used to proudly show off the main pillars he found. "Look, Tom. Isn't this a magnificent main pillar?" It was a perfectly straight piece of Zelkova wood, so thick that I couldn't wrap my arms around it. The main pillar is the heart of the house. It is the house itself and its guardian spirit. My grandfather was particular about the main pillar. To clients hesitant due to budget concerns, he would often say, "What are you talking about? The house is defined by its main pillar. Don't skimp on the important parts." We often visited houses that used those meticulously selected main pillars. This is my pride. Look, isn't it a magnificent main pillar? I remember him showing off the pillars proudly, even though the houses weren't his. Despite his dedication and pride in his craft, there was nothing my grandfather could do without houses to build. Carpentry had become a declining industry. My father refused to take over the company. Being an only child, if he didn't take over, the business couldn't survive. My grandfather considered closing the company. He was actually in the process of shutting it down, introducing his craftsmen to trusted fellow carpenters. I'm pretty sure John also moved to some construction company during that period. My grandfather's company was slowly being dismantled, but I opposed it. "Grandpa, when I grow up, I'll become a carpenter. I'll take over your company, so don't quit." In hindsight, what a cruel thing that was to say. At the time, my grandfather was already over 70. In those days, people in their 70s were mostly retired and hardly working anymore. Craftsmen were passing their skills to the next generation and stepping back from the front lines. Telling my grandfather not to quit in such an environment was practically a curse. But my grandfather smiled warmly and said, "Really? You'll take over, Tom? Then I have to keep going." True to his word, my grandfather remained active until I became an adult. By the time I took over the company, the era was already dominated by housing manufacturers. Our company survived as a local construction firm, taking orders from these manufacturers. Thanks to my grandfather, I also became knowledgeable about main pillars, but in today's world, houses requiring such pillars are rare. Still, whenever we could, my grandfather and I would go to the mountains together to find potential main pillars. As my grandfather approaches 90, his legs are still strong, and his love for main pillars persists. "One day, I want to build a magnificent house with you, Tom. That's my dream too. I hope the day comes when we can make it come true." I met my wife, Emily, during one of these mountain walks. While we were looking at trees, Emily was looking at flowers. Emily is a chef specializing in organic cuisine and runs a small local cafe. That day, she was looking for herbs and other plants to use in her cooking but got lost while looking down at the ground. "Oh. Finally, someone. I'm so glad." She sighed in relief as soon as she saw me, and my heart was struck in an instant. "Miss, did you come all the way here alone?" "Yes, I was looking for herbs, but I got lost while looking down." Her charming smile made her look like an angel or a mountain goddess. While I was dazed by her divine presence, my grandfather and Emily hit it off immediately. "Wow! What a magnificent tree! It has such a commanding presence. You've got a good eye, miss. This will make a fine main pillar. My gut tells me so. Are you a carpenter, sir?" "Yes, I am. My grandson Tom has taken over now, but I still hammer away, building houses." "That's so cool. A real craftsman. Don't flatter me too much, you'll make me blush," my grandfather said, beaming with pride. I thought to myself, if things go well, my grandfather's old age will be secure. Maybe I can give him a great-grandchild to hold. Even though I hadn't even introduced myself yet, I was already envisioning a future with Emily. Even after getting married and having our son, Emily continued working with my grandfather, father, and mother at home. Even when Emily goes to work, she feels at ease knowing there's someone to take care of her son, Jack. And above all, Emily shines when she is cooking. Though we work with different materials, we understand each other as craftsmen striving to perfect our skills. Emily started joining us on our mountain walks on weekends. My grandfather would look up, and Emily would look down. I'd guide the two of them to prevent them from getting lost. Maybe one day, Jack will join us too. Imagining such a future fills me with excitement. The bond we formed in the mountains quickly led to our marriage and the blessing of a child. Kids grow up so fast. Before I knew it, Jack was old enough to go to kindergarten. Since preparation is crucial in cooking, Emily always leaves for work early in the morning. I have more flexibility with my schedule, so it's my job to take Jack to kindergarten. It's about a 20-minute walk from our house. It's not far enough to drive, so we take a leisurely walk there. However, kids at this age don't walk straight. Look, a butterfly. He runs off to chase it. Dad, look at the flowers. Should we pick some for Mom? No, Jack, those flowers belong to that house. They're taking good care of them. Then how about those flowers over there? It's sweet how he thinks of his mom, but if we keep stopping, we'll be late. We can look at the flowers with Mom next time. That way, we can find the one she likes best. With that, I coax him along towards kindergarten. The morning drop-off is fine, but the pickup is tricky. Kindergarten ends in the middle of my workday. I can't just leave work. So, the pickup is usually handled by my mom or my grandfather. Most of the time, my mom picks him up and does the grocery shopping afterward. But when she's busy, my grandfather steps in. What happens when you leave my grandfather and Jack alone? Chaos ensues. Jack is incredibly curious, just like my grandfather and more so than my father or me. He stops to inspect every tree and plant, turning a 20-minute walk into a 40-minute adventure. Once, during the height of the growing season, they were gone for over 2 hours. We were in a panic, thinking they might have been in an accident. Or that my grandfather might have started wandering off due to dementia, or that Jack might have been kidnapped. They returned, covered in burrs. After that, we equipped them with small devices with GPS and talk functions. Despite his spirit, my grandfather couldn't escape old age. He once threw his back out trying to lift a piece of lumber. He wasn't bedridden, but picking up a kindergartner was out of the question. Until his back healed, I took over picking up Jack. This meant leaving work early. Changing clothes was a hassle. The kindergarten wasn't far. So, I went in my work clothes. When I arrived, I encountered the group of moms picking up their kids. I recognized some faces and greeted them when one woman marched over. Her name was Jennifer Smith, the boss of the mom group. Her husband was a manager at a well-known national home building company, and she often used this fact to assert her dominance. She always wore expensive clothes and flaunted her branded bags. Though she lived only about 10 minutes away, she always arrived in a luxury car. To someone like me, it seemed like a waste of gas money for such a short distance. But to Jennifer, the extra gas expense was a status symbol. Just from these observations, our values were incompatible. I knew we wouldn't get along. I've never seen it myself, but according to the neighbors, Grandpa and Jennifer are arch-enemies and clash like a mongoose and a cobra whenever they meet. They would glare at each other every time they met. Oh my, still doing things the old-fashioned way? How dreary, it's making the kindergarten feel so gloomy. What are you talking about, you? Still flaunting those gaudy outfits? Can you even chase after your kid in that? My child, unlike yours, doesn't run off unpredictably. Please don't compare him to your uncontrollable rascal. A little mischief is good for a kid. Hey, champ. Want to join us? Stop it. If my kid hangs out with the likes of you, he'll turn out just as weird. People around us were nervously watching, wishing these ugly arguments would stop for the sake of the kids. My mother struggled due to her relationship with my grandfather. Whenever she picked up Jack, Jennifer would make snide remarks like, "Oh, did the old man finally kick the bucket? It's so peaceful today." It made things difficult for my mom, but she put on a brave face to avoid upsetting her grandson. Sorry for causing you so much trouble, Mom. Now, Jennifer was charging towards me. Hey, you in the filthy clothes. Was she talking to me? Yes, you. Why are you wearing work clothes to pick up your kid? I'm still on the job. Which kid's father are you? I'm Tom Anderson. Jack plays with your son Ryan a lot. Thanks for looking after him. Oh, from the stubborn old man's family? Calling my grandfather a stubborn old man to my face? She must be brave to say that to someone she just met. My grandfather seems to be fond of you too. Thanks for that. We're not doing him any favors. It's just a polite greeting. Obviously, it's a social nicety. Anyway, your clothes are filthy. I don't want people to think my kid goes to the same kindergarten as yours. Could you leave? This is my company's uniform. I take pride in my work, so your comment is quite disrespectful. What's wrong with calling filth what it is? And what's with a uniform that's work clothes? That's so low class. I can't let that slide. What do you mean by low class? Low class is low class. My husband graduated from a top university and is now a manager at Summit Housing. You've heard of it, right? A top-tier, publicly traded company with branches nationwide. That's what makes him an elite. While people like you who work in small workshops in dirty clothes are the bottom of society. Remember that. It's impressive that your husband is a manager at a major company. But his company wouldn't function without the support of subcontractors and craftsmen. Shouldn't there be respect for those at the bottom too? Ha! What a joke. Respect? For you? Be grateful we give work to people like you. You'd go out of business without jobs from us. She really loves the word bottom. It's true my company gets jobs from your husband's company. But the one to thank is your husband, not you. If he acts superior, that's one thing. But why should you? What's there to respect about you? The other moms and teachers watched us anxiously. Some even seemed excited about how this confrontation would unfold. Go! Put her in her place. I could almost hear them cheering me on. Jennifer likely always acted superior like this. People with undeserved power are scary. They don't listen to reason or logic, and their arrogance knows no bounds. You are wrong. Anyone who tried to correct them would face severe retaliation. Everyone was too scared to step in. What's with your attitude? You're infuriating. This is bad for the kids. Leave now. The bad influence here is your attitude, lady. I cursed her in my mind. People like her only drain your energy. It's best to just walk away. Enough is enough. Fine, if you insist. I guess I won't be building that $10 million house with your husband's company. $10 million? Are you kidding me? Someone like you can't build a $10 million house. Save your dreams for bedtime. All right. It won't be long before your confidence wanes. You'll regret this. I took my son's hand and quickly left the kindergarten. The next day, I had an unexpected visitor at work. Mr. Anderson, Stephen Smith from Summit Homes is here to see you. Stephen? We didn't have a meeting scheduled today. I feigned ignorance, but I had a good idea why he was here. Stephen Smith from Summit Homes, a name many of you might recognize. Yes, the husband of Jennifer, who confronted me at the kindergarten, was none other than a client of mine. And I had a $10 million new build contract with Summit Homes. My grandfather was a master temple carpenter, specializing in the restoration and construction of national treasures and cultural properties. He was considered a living legend in the industry, known as a cultural property preservation expert. Even though he had retired from the front lines, he used to earn close to $1 million a year. Following in his footsteps, I also became a certified temple carpenter. Though not yet at my grandfather's level, I am recognized as a top-tier temple carpenter and earn a substantial income. I rebranded our inherited company as a construction firm. In today's world, it's tough to survive solely on carpentry work. As a construction firm, we could oversee comprehensive projects involving various trades, including design and project management. Having a sales department is a huge advantage. Being a carpenter, project manager, and salesperson allows me to directly interact with clients and accurately meet their detailed needs. Our meticulous approach to client consultations, precise and satisfying finishes, and thorough aftercare. This thorough preparation builds client trust and leads to the next job. We're now heavily invested in renovations, and after being featured on TV, we have bookings several years in advance. Our sales have doubled, tripled, even quintupled, allowing us to raise employee salaries and providing financial benefits to our families. As the CEO of a construction firm, building an ordinary house isn't an option. In a small town, we decided to use our home as a marketing tool. The conclusion we reached was a $10 million new build. If this construction order falls through, Summit Homes won't be able to take it lightly. I didn't tattle to Stephen. Jennifer, with her chatty and prideful nature. She must have mentioned the incident at the kindergarten herself. Stephen must have rushed over after hearing about it. Tom, it seems my wife caused quite a bit of trouble yesterday. Oh, that? I feigned ignorance. Did Jennifer say something? Well, she made some unnecessary comments about your attire. To us craftsmen, our work clothes are a sacred uniform, a source of pride. It's not pleasant to have them belittled. Of course, I understand. I could see Stephen sweating. He didn't look well. But that's not the main issue. I was at fault for not changing out of my work clothes. Not at all. But calling us low class is a bit much, don't you think? Is our work really considered low class? Absolutely not. There's no such thing. He was turning pale. Are you okay, Stephen? Given the uncertainty about entrusting work to such low-class individuals, we might have to reconsider our future dealings. Please, wait. That would be a problem. Of course it would. Losing the expertise of my grandfather and me, top temple carpenters, would be a significant blow to Summit Homes. They couldn't afford to lose us. And about the $10 million new build we've requested, I think we'll have to cancel that as well. Please, wait. That would be a huge problem. Even if it's a problem for you, I'd been insulted too much to just let it slide. I've spoken to Jennifer. I've explained how reputable Anderson Construction is and how skilled your craftsmen are. We owe a great deal to you. Please, can you find it in your heart to forgive us this time? Stephen was sweating profusely, visibly anxious. I don't like mixing work with personal matters. But your wife's behavior was beyond the pale. She insulted not just me but also my grandfather. And in front of the kids. Do you know that your son, Ryan, has been treating my son, Jack, coldly? He said, I won't play with you because you're boring, using words he probably doesn't even understand. What do you think about that? I'm truly sorry about that. With that, Stephen started to cry. It seemed he had been fed up with Jennifer's behavior for a long time, and seeing his son start to mimic her was breaking his heart. He had tried to talk to Jennifer, but she insisted she wasn't at fault, and nothing changed. Her constant need to assert dominance had made them unpopular with the neighbors. But her pride was as towering as Mount Everest and only continued to grow. Jennifer takes pride in my position at a major housing company and boasts about it everywhere. But as a manager, I don't have as much power or success as she claims. My status is largely due to the excellent work Anderson Construction does. I can't continue with Jennifer if she keeps acting this way. I'm going to divorce her. Announcing this to me wasn't something I was prepared to handle. I'm calling Jennifer here to apologize. With that, Stephen called Jennifer. While waiting for her, Stephen continued to vent about his wife. It felt like a therapy session. Soon, Jennifer arrived. What is this about? Why did you call me here? It's so dirty. My clothes will get ruined. Quiet. Apologize to Mr. Anderson for your rude behavior yesterday and all the other times. What? Why should I apologize? They're just our subcontractors. We're above them, so there's no need to apologize. I'm a manager because of Tom's support. If Anderson Construction pulls out, I could be demoted or even fired. Apologize now. If you don't, I'll divorce you immediately. Whether she understood her mistakes or was simply cowed by her husband's intensity, Jennifer turned pale and began to apologize to me. I'm sorry. I was wrong. Please forgive me. Has she ever worked a day in her life? She doesn't seem to know how to apologize properly. Getting upset at her would just drain my energy. Let's leave the past behind. Just stop using foul language in front of the children. Can you do that? Yes, I'll try. Not try. You must understand and do it. I understand. I doubt she's genuinely changed, but continuing this would be unfair to Stephen. I'll let it go. So, Mr. Anderson, about the $10 million new build. I'll observe Jennifer's behavior from now on. I'll decide after that. Understood. Pulling the stunned Jennifer along, they left. You're too soft. You should have given her a harder time. You were listening? I saw Jennifer rushing over and wondered what was going on. So, I eavesdropped. I didn't want to push too hard and provoke her. We'll still have to deal with her after kindergarten. In a small community. From elementary school, and possibly all the way through high school, our sons will likely spend time in the same environment. There's no need to pass on our conflicts to the next generation. The next day, Jennifer became very quiet. After dropping off her child, she would leave without talking to anyone. Not interacting meant she couldn't assert her dominance. The other moms seemed more cheerful. Jennifer had been constantly complaining to the kindergarten. But that stopped, making it easier for the teachers, who now worked with smiles, creating a peaceful atmosphere. Such an atmosphere naturally affects the children. They stopped quarreling, and the overall mood at the kindergarten brightened. Jennifer, the only one still sulking, stopped showing up after about a month. She was so stressed from acting humble outside that she vented her anger at home on Stephen. "Why do I have to go through this?" she raged daily, leaving Stephen utterly exhausted and dismayed, leading eventually to their divorce. Stephen got custody of Ryan, and Jennifer was kicked out of their home. Her brother and sister-in-law, who had taken over the family home, refused to take her back. So Jennifer rented a cheap apartment in the next town and began living alone. Needing to earn a living, she started working at a nearby supermarket, facing quite a few challenges. As a newcomer, she was bossed around by veterans. Having always been the one asserting dominance, she now found herself on the receiving end. It must have been quite a humbling experience. She's probably learning firsthand how hard work is and the importance of relationships. Or perhaps she's cursing me as the cause of her misfortune. Life is long. If she can reform and take a new step forward, that would be ideal. Stephen's mother moved in to help care for Ryan. On his days off, Stephen handled the drop-off and pick-up. Stephen's suave demeanor was well received by the moms and he was easily accepted. As I started seeing him more at the kindergarten and began talking privately, the distance between us lessened. We discovered we share the same hobbies, and now we bond as dad friends, sharing parenting concerns. This kind of relationship is quite nice. The $10 million new build is currently under construction. With Jennifer gone, the project, which doubles as a showcase for our company, is progressing well. Building it holds great significance. The hybrid structure of wood and steel is sturdy and long-lasting, with a wooden exterior that will surely captivate many. Anderson Construction is handling the wooden parts, especially the main areas of the house. Building our own house with our own hands. I want my son to see that. At the center stands a massive main pillar that my grandfather and I painstakingly selected. It is the culmination of my grandfather's life work, majestic and beautiful enough to gaze at for hours. "I want to build a magnificent house with you someday, Tom," my grandfather used to say, almost like a mantra. Now, that dream is coming true. Every task brings back memories. John quietly working on his wood in the corner of the workshop. The sawdust dancing in the light, its smell. The sweat of the busy craftsman, houses coming together like magic. The days spent in the mountains, learning the craft of carpentry. Among those encounters was Emily, and together we built a family. Now, watching Jack grow has become the center of our lives. All these experiences are being infused into the new house. This house will surely be warmer than any other. Not only for those living in it but also for those visiting. As we build, Jack watches from a distance. "When I grow up, I want to build a house with great-grandpa too," he declares, his eyes shining. My grandfather smiles warmly, looking at his great-grandson. "Yes, let's build a house together, shall we?" Whether that dream will come true, I don't know. But I hope such a future comes. I can't help but wish for it.